I currently pitch for the Brock Badgers in the OUA. So I've done work with Coach Doug McKean, and before working with him, there were a lot of stuff that got to me on the mound, rattled me, bad calls, errors, uh, hard hits, a lot of things that really affected me. And by working with Doug, I got the ability to sort of shake those things off and move on, really flush those things out of the mind, calm myself down, and find ways to be relaxed on the mound, which is absolutely essential to pitching. You need to be relaxed, and working with Doug really got me to a point where I could be relaxed all the time and perform at my absolute best.
Nick explains here why the most athletically gifted pitchers can struggle to perform at their true potential.
Okay, so looking at a guy like me, I've compared to a lot of other pitchers, I'm not the most physically gifted. I'm a lefty, fastball sitting probably low 80s, maybe high 70s on a bad day. And I've never been the most talented guy. About average to below average fastball, average to above average curveball, average changeup. Looking at my stuff physically, you'd look at me as an average pitcher, but I've been able to succeed a lot in part because of the way I've been able to think and control myself with the mental game I feel. I see a lot of other pitchers, I see a lot of hitters who come into the box or step on the mound, and you look at them and you should think that they would be absolutely successful. And you just don't see them, performing the way that they're capable of. And I feel like a big part of that comes down to the mental side of baseball, the ability to control yourself, and really the mind controls the body. So just the ability to use the mind to control yourself is a big part of baseball. And when guys cannot do that, it really affects them in a negative way.
Baseball always gets frustrating at times, right, Nikki?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what's the difference between you and other pitchers or hitters when the frustrating times hit? And they always hit.
Right.
This is baseball.
I feel like the big difference for me is the ability to get back to square one, ground zero, in terms of a mental state. So you see some hitters, you throw them a pitch that they liked and they missed on, or they foul straight back, but they really want to take it. And you see visibly them getting frustrated, and that frustration really affects performance. It really has the ability to creep into the head and affect a whole at-bat, or a whole game, or even a whole week. What I feel that I'm able to do better is I throw a bad pitch, maybe it gets doubled off the wall. I'm able to step back and say, you know what, it's really not a big deal. Just get back at the next guy. And then I'm able to step back up and continue performing at the same level that I was at because I'm not letting my emotions or frustrations or pressure get to me.
Do you feel you're able to perform in practice very much the same as in a game?
I'd say I'm actually able to perform better in games because I feel like I've almost embraced the pressure that comes with playing. The competitive side always fires me up a little bit more. And when you don't let the pressure get to you, then there really is no difference between games and practice. It's just in games you have a bit more fire because it counts for something. So I'd say I perform better in games than practice, which is pretty uncommon, I would. I feel like a lot of guys, especially in baseball because that's my primary sport, a lot of guys put pressure on themselves for things they can't really control. So you'll see guys worry about stuff like stats, and that's a big one for me. If a guy grounds out, let's say, and it's his third ground out of the day, he'll say, I'm 0 for 3 today. For me, if I give up a triple and then that guy comes in on a sac fly, I'm not thinking, oh, my ERA just went up. I'll say, I need to execute pitches better, or I need to do this better, or that better. Things that I can control with myself. I'm not so worried about, what coach is saying. I'm not so worried about what the other team is saying. I'm not so worried about past results. I'm only worried about the next pitch. And I feel like guys put too much on themselves and take that away from themselves. And when they lose that focus, that's when everything else starts to flood in, especially into their head. And when your head gets messed up, there's no coming back from that. So when I know I'm not going to have the best day and when doubts really start to creep in. So for example, you get in the game and you start throwing and you start doing things like leaving fastballs up. That's a big no-no for pitchers, obviously, because fastballs up get absolutely mashed by any hitter. Anybody can hit a fastball up in the zone. So it's something where, you know what to do. You've done it before to get to my level at least. You know how to get a fastball down. So you're on the mound and you're saying, okay, the last 3 fastballs were up. What am I going to do? Get the fastball down. You throw the next pitch, it's up again. And then you start to think about a lot of things. You start to think about, the first question is, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do what I always do? Why can't I execute? Then your mind starts to drift to other things, Is pressure getting to me? Am I off mechanically? Am I falling off on my front side? Am I not pulling it through? Am I not extending? Am I not getting on top? A lot of those things start to creep into your head. And then you keep going. And if the fastball is not getting down, that's when you could start to, go off on a mental spin a little bit. And by working with Doug, I got the ability to shake those things off and move on. Really flush those things out of the mind, calm myself down, and find ways to be relaxed on the mound, which is absolutely essential to pitching. You need to be relaxed, and working with Doug really got me to a point where I could be relaxed all the time and perform at my absolute best.